Thanks for checking in. I believe with the online sessions that we've been having, it's been almost 3 months or so. Probably changes that you may have noticed within yourselves, and also getting into a kind of meditation routine, that can help us, that can serve us. Whether we're here to relax, to unwind, sometimes even decompressing, or to develop a kind of insight, to live with more mindful wisdom. By now, you should have noticed that living with wisdom, there can be a profound change in the way we interact with the world and the way we reconcile our relationship with our bodies, our feelings, and our minds. Difficulties in life, sometimes abrupt changes can happen. Like in the recent puja, I shared that it is those minute moments that count where we can decide to make a change. But the whole point of mindfulness is actually knowing where we are returning to, where we're headed. In spiritual practice, it is to come within ourselves, but for what? Why do we have to come back to ourselves? Some people do not dare to face themselves. There might be a lot of things inside, or else that have, I would say in a way that push them to do or certain things or behave in certain ways. That's what we call the inner demons or the conflicting energies within ourselves. Some people do not dare to face up to their own mistakes or to their imperfections. I'm not saying that we need to be perfect, but to what extent are we willing to really come within ourselves before we re-enter society? Every time you meditate, it is not an escape from real world problems. It's to set things aside because we know that we are going to emerge eventually. So it is about disconnecting in order to reconnect. Just like how if you set your phones to airplane mode, they will charge really fast. Or if you plug your phone into a charger and you leave the Wi-Fi on, your apps will update themselves, right? You auto download. As long as you don't interfere with the process. What happens when you interfere with the process? It takes slower or it might not update at all. And you may be out of date. There may be some connection issues. So these are things that we can learn. I like to look at our devices as the best teacher that we have, to know when to stop, when to take a break, and what is the purpose ultimately. To recharge ourselves, this is what everyone needs, but it is also to recalibrate ourselves. So where are we returning to within ourselves? Enlightenment is not something that's far away. The Chinese like to believe that Nibbana or Nirvana is only attained when they die. That's why they go on thinking that way, lifetime over lifetime over lifetime, that is unreachable. The Zen masters have spoken that Nibbana is now, here and now. There's nowhere to achieve it. Just like in meditation, you don't think about, oh, I need to get into deep meditation tonight or tomorrow. When you know that you want to get into deep meditation at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays, you kind of know that you have to set things aside. You need to be slightly more mindful so you have energy to come for these sessions. Some people call meditation about returning to the 0 degree or to return into emptiness or the true awakening state within us. We have so many words for them and each experience is different. Difficulties to come in life. Everyone faces suffering. But to what extent we want the suffering to overwhelm us? And why does meditation help? How was your mind before you ever started meditating? Just think about it for a few moments. Is it as spacious? Or is it jumping around like a monkey? It's impossible to just jump into deep meditation on your own and sit for like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. It's hard for a lot of people. But I believe for most of you right now, you can actually achieve that because you've learned to tame the mind, the monkey mind, that likes to latch onto branches and keep jumping, keep running around. Always, the monkey doesn't need distractions for it to hop around. It just wants to hop around. So when there's distractions, it goes even crazier. The whole point of meditation is about mind mastery. To master the mind, to tame the monkey mind, instead of having the mind drag us running around, going into the great unknown, not in a positive way, but in a very daunting manner. So we return to ourselves every night or every Wednesday. It is to settle our minds, deep inside, to stop functioning based on the monkey mind. The monkey mind can be distracted by a lot of stimulants. The behavior of others. Maybe someone tries to disturb you, disrupt you. You can think that, I'm not in a conducive environment. These people are not wholesome company. They are distracting me. They're removing me from my peace. Or we say that someone is trying to take away our peace. But what does that mean? There must be peace in you in order for someone to steal it away or to disrupt it. And it also means that peace is within you. It's never outside you. You cannot find it outside. Yes, no doubt you can find a conducive environment. And what does a conducive environment serve? It's for you to have better conditions to come back within yourself. They are not peaceful conditions. That's why we use the word conducive. And conducive for what? So sometimes we can operate from here. Whatever you see, for example, especially things that you do not like, you encounter them in life, difficulties, struggles. It's in a way it is coming from outside. These difficulties do happen. And it goes. You see it, you feel it with your sense doors. The mind registers it, and the mind creates a story out of it, a perception of the incident. Then your mental formations might just get stirred up. We start having different kind of conditioned behavior to react to them, to look at them. But then ultimately, if there's suffering that we are experiencing, it is all triggered by the mind, the monkey mind. It decides to shake all of a sudden. That we forget about the peace within, we forget about nirvana. We just act on a whole lot of perceptions and mental formations. And we grasp onto them, thinking that they're going to last forever. It is like sitting you go to a room, or you can try it one day. Just being in your room, a room with windows, and you light out everything, you turn off all the lights, you shut them up with curtains. But you leave a little opening where the sunlight can come in. So it's supposed to be a dark room, right? But then when the sunlight comes in, you think that you see the light. You think that you see the sunlight. But the sunlight is still a perception that comes out in your head. And whether you want to judge it as good or bad, it's all up to the mind, your conditioning. But then is the sunlight going to stay forever, that ray of light? The sun is going to move. And the moment the sun moves, the sunlight disappears. So whatever shines into the room, it has to return to its source. And in this scenario, the sunlight, it's not a positive sunlight. I'm talking about distractions. I'm talking about unwholesome things that happen in life. And the actual fact is that everything is just dark. But people fear darkness. That's why we want stimulants outside of us. And it's not that we want, it's the monkey mind that wants. When the monkey mind operates, we forget all about our self-awareness, our consciousness. We don't operate on that pure consciousness anymore. We have a lot of ideas to solve things in the world, things around us, just playing with ideas and ideas and ideas. But how about the true wisdom that comes from within us, from our hearts? But if we can recognize that we tend to use our brains, our monkey minds, to solve things, it can drain us. We can forget about a lot of things. But what happens when you can come back within yourself? The first thing in darkness, is it really that scary? Or is everything just purely dark? A blind person experiences darkness, but a blind person does not see darkness. So in darkness, you can't use your eyes anymore. You can't rely on them. What do? You walk around, you get familiar with your surrounding through what? Through your feeling. You touch everything. These are all very sensual. You feel, and then you get used to it. There's a whole embodied experience of it, just like experiencing emptiness. The senses open up that can help you to link you back to your consciousness, to have full mindfulness and awareness of what's going on around you. And you operate based on your wisdom, because there's nothing to come, no light is going to come in to take you away, to generate any more ideas. And that's where we can begin to wake up. Through sensing, through experiencing, an empirical experience into the nature of reality, the nature of the world, the nature of how the world functions, especially how the mind operates. So sometimes we can be caught up by things happening around us, and then it stirs the monkey mind, and then we just play around with it. That's why sometimes we can make the wrong decisions. Or sometimes we may be stunned, like, I don't know what to do because I ran out of ideas, but I let go. I stay aloof, but why is the stress still creeping up? Why am I still questioning my lack of action and my lack of solutions? So that is different from equanimity. Equanimity is when you can accept things as they are. You can reset yourself, you make peace, you feel that you can be inclusive of all the experiences that you're having. But feeling stunned, feeling lost, it's not a wholesome feeling, and it can bring about suffering, stress, and you start questioning and questioning and questioning. Society has been questioning ever since man came onto this earth. That's why we have spiritual teachings. Sometimes we have wrong teachings. We have all sorts of things around us filled in the past it was the news, tabloids, and now it's all over social media to try to give us a sense of meaning. But is it truly giving our pure consciousness that meaning? Or is it taking us away to forget about the pure consciousness within us? It's just to feed the monkey mind. Because all these things that were created to try to solve the problems of humankind, they were invented through another monkey mind. It's just a bunch of monkeys jumping around. But who is it to blame? We can't blame our forefathers, we can't blame our ancestors, we can't blame the government, we can't blame people, because we begin to see that everyone has this monkey mind, including us. So if you're going to blame others, that they're the cause of the problems in the world, why don't we look at ourselves? Suppose who's blaming them? Just another monkey throwing bananas at each other. So when situations happen in life, it's not about turning a blind eye on them, but it's to see that the Buddha said to see things as a mirage or foam of bubble, that it is impermanent, it will disappear. And that's the truth. No matter how much suffering or difficulties you're dealing with, in that moment, is it painful? Yes, it is very painful. But is what you're doing prolonging the pain? Exaggerating the pain? Or is it perhaps a temporary solution? If you have that temporary solution, then it's a wonderful thing to have. But as spiritual practitioners, it's about learning how to suffer the suffering. Learning how to suffer. It is the middle path between running away and trying to solve everything. First and foremost, we know that they are like the sunlight coming into the room. It lasts for a while. But the most important thing is that in the midst of suffering, can we remind ourselves to go back to that pure consciousness within us? A place where we can contemplate, to see the impermanent nature of these things, and to prevent the monkey mind from reacting. Because as long as the monkey mind is going to react, the problem is never going to be solved. You may suffer even more. So we want to learn how to suffer less. First, by taming the mind. And the next thing, because when you go back deep into your heart, and you start listening to, not listening to the heart, I'm sorry, but to allow that wisdom within to come up, you'll find the courage, you'll find the strength, you'll find the solutions to the things that you need to overcome. Because first and foremost, you've transcended the transient image that happens in front of you. You're not caught up in it, but you're aware of it. You see its true nature, that it is not real in a sense, and that you don't want it to stir the mind too much. Because you know that it's only in a peaceful mind with that clarity where you can truly live and you can truly become a source of light for others. Because when you change, things around you begin to change. Just like right now, the discourse that I just gave. If I just use my brain and use my mind, and I think that this year, I mean, practicing consistently with the community, with DK, it's only been 3 months. 3 months is just 12 sessions. It's not a lot. And if I base on that perception and that idea that in just 12 sessions, I can't give such a discourse, would I have given this discourse? I wouldn't. If I think that it's too harsh, if I think that, some people say they've been meditating for years, they can't sit still for 45 minutes even in a group. If I just have that idea and try to solve that problem, I try to think of ways to make it sit for 45 minutes, what's going to happen? I think you have dropped out of the classroom by now. It's like, this guy is just an idiot, right? Because I operate from here, not here. So I get to really sense, I get to feel my way into things. And it's like, allow wisdom to take over. And that wisdom communicates with your own innate wisdom. Because sometimes you can even sit 90 minutes with me, no issue. Is it my doing? No. It is the wisdom's doing. And everyone has that wisdom. We know about mirror neurons. Let's say you have a perception of someone's perception of you. Let's say you're doing sales, right? You don't think this person can be convinced at all, and you try so hard to convince this person. What's going to happen? You try and prove yourself too hard. People can pick it up. That sense of awkwardness. You're not being sincere. then most likely you might not close the deal. Or you think that, this person, I just can't sell this person at all, but I have to do it because it's part of my job. It's part of my quota or whatever. I just do a bit. Because at that moment, you're not presenting yourself at all. You're presenting an idea in your head. You're not you. And people can't sense you. People can't feel the authenticity. And they will draw back. They'll pull back. And they'll behave according to what you project out from your mind. So it's just a monkey communicating with the monkey, creating limitations in our lives. But if you're just fully yourself, perhaps you have a beginner's mind. You just believe. You don't think so much. You don't overthink. And things work out well. That's why kids make friends. They don't have to think, how am I going to approach this person? How do I need to present myself? How do I need to network? Why do adults hate networking sessions so much? Because they think everyone is fake. And because you're being fake at the same time, right? Because you think you need to take on a persona. But kids have no this problem when we're young. No, we are not so corrupted. We learn how to we're just so pure within us. We can make friends. We don't have this fear of judgment, and everyone is happy. Sometimes, yes, fights do happen, but most of the time, you start from being something positive. And in the midst of the playing, it's fun. At the end, everyone lives happily. It's the same with dealing with problems and sometimes also dealing with people around us. We can remove those perceptions and know that those perceptions are not real. Just like the sunlight, it's going to move out. The sun ray is never going to stay. Whatever comes in is temporary, and we can allow it to bounce back to where it came from. So it doesn't stir you anymore. You can be your true self. What do you find from there? The answer is Nibbana, or Nirvana in Sanskrit. Perhaps you're contemplating a bit now. You get a bit of Nirvana. After this session, the Nirvana can disappear. Tomorrow, it can disappear. It's just re-entering that state. And that state is cultivated through your effort, through your remembrance, through your mindfulness. There's only one person so far that I know of in the world that can be in Nibbana 24/7. He's sitting right behind me. The Buddha. He found the way to that. And he comes to you and he says, I found the way. Would you want to take a look? Would you want to walk with me? I can show you. Sometimes we can remember these teachings. But sometimes there might be resistance coming up like, no. It's all from this. In samatha meditation, we've covered sampajanya, right? We've covered sati, mindfulness. Sampajanya is just the self-awareness, the clear comprehension. But it's another word, we just use the English word. It's called introspection. We need to learn to introspect, to reflect. So coming for these sessions, or even in your own meditation sessions, it's not to deal with stuff. It is not to process stuff. It's to re-establish back into yourself, to disengage from the monkey mind, to disengage from the world, not to run away, because we know we are going to re-enter the world. How do we want to re-enter that world? That's why we're here. That's why we practice. And I believe that everyone wants Nibbana. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to be like the Buddha? Perhaps you fear greatness or the great responsibility. But wouldn't you want to just be able to experience life peacefully, happily, and kind of having solutions to almost everything that doesn't require using the mind, using the brain, but just operating from here. And things will change. Things do change. I guarantee you that. I experienced that myself. I'm not someone without suffering in my life. I have a lot of stuff. Do you know how many WhatsApp messages I receive a day? From a lot of people. They are not signing up for one-on-ones. And I have to sit on it. I have to reply. Sometimes I go to bed, not with Serena, my wife. I go to bed with you guys. In my head. I have to think of, okay, how's your spiritual path going to be? What kind of suffering you're facing? How am I going to speak to you? How much time do I need to settle before I jump on a call with you? How's your job? How's your work? Are you financially stable? I have to think of all sorts of things, right? I'm not enlightened. Obviously, my family members are not enlightened. I still have my own fair share of things to deal with. Right? All sorts of things. But why am I here, like sitting here, talking to you? Because I know why I meditate. And I think it's also to prove to you one thing. That it is possible to live with gratitude, to live in a more awakened state. Not awakening in the sense that we see devas or we see angels, we see chakras, we see energies everywhere. Not in that. Doesn't serve much of a purpose, right? How many people do you actually help in the world by using your psychic powers? Some of you have developed, powers. How many people do you heal by using Reiki? But the greatest tools that we have is our pure consciousness, our behavior, our mouth, right here. Imagine we come into a puja or a session and DK just does this for 1.5 hours. Are you going to get anything out of it? Or I just do a bunch of mudras. Or I just chant. Not going to help, right? I mean, it's proof, right? Why I don't go into teaching you all these kind of things. I mean, it can make me a lot of money just by doing this and reach out to a whole bunch of people. I'm sure some of you have encountered such healers. You probably spend a bunch of money there as well. But why so little people sign up for the course that you're attending? Because not a lot of people are capable of grasping that things are actually that simple, of grasping that they have that power like you do, which is you being alive. It's a wonderful thing. And there's a natural form of intelligence within yourself. Can you tell me how your thyroid gland operates? How come your eyes knows when to blink? Do you have to control it? Okay, after every 10 seconds, I need to blink. Watching in front of the camera now, every 5 seconds, I need to blink. How many times do you need to chew? And all the way down to your digestive system. It knows what to do. Were you taught how to do that? Do you have to think about it? There are people who think about it. That's why we have pharmaceutical companies, and that's why we are throwing things into our mouths to screw up our systems. And where do those ideas come from? Monkey minds again. So as long as you can learn how to trust, you just have to take a step back. Remember at the start of the session, I asked, what are you dealing with? And in actual fact, these are the things that we're dealing with, not the world outside of ourselves. But our delusions that make us believe that things are going to last forever, that we must solve things with our brains, that is what we need to deal with. Deal with thinking that peace is being taken away from us. It can only be taken away from you if you allow it. And it is actually the one thing that is the hardest to be stolen away from you. Someone can hack your bank account, right? Someone can break into your house, steal your belongings. Someone can steal your spouse away from you. But in fact, your peace is just so heavily guarded. So heavily guarded that sometimes you forget where it is. So it's about returning. So this session, let us settle whatever I just shared. Let us settle into our minds. And first and foremost is coming back to ourselves. Let things bounce off you. Let's place our palms together with our eyes closed. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Paying reverence to the Buddha is also paying reverence to the teachings, that we can return into ourselves to be free from the monkey mind and to be free from all the delusions, to make this aspiration, setting this intention to simply return to ourselves with each in-breath, and with each out-breath to release and to let go into this trusting space. When you're ready, you can just settle your hands into meditation. Breathing in, I calm my body and my mind. Breathing out, I release. And simply enjoy the flowing sensations of your in-breath and your out-breath. Breathing deeply into your abdomen. Allow your abdomen to expand. Simply breathing into your abdomen. It is like the core of the tree, the strongest part. It is solid and still. Although your senses are being shut right now, but the mind might still be moving. The monkey mind that has caused itself to stir along with the world. Just like the tree, the top of the tree is always moving. The wind may have stopped, the monkey might have left, but the branches and the leaves still move. And that's okay, for you are the stump of the tree. Just breathing deeply into your body, filling your entire body and your breath as one. This natural intelligence in this body that can breathe on its own, that's been keeping you alive, that knows how to fight bacteria and germs. You can trust and rest your faith in this body. And just bring this question into your meditation as you go deeper and deeper into your body. Is this body ultimately you? Something that you can't even fully grasp. And it's been changing every single moment. Can you find yourself in your body? Maybe you know the answer that it is impossible to find yourself in this body, for the mind is the one that's operating. So let us move to the mind. In the mind alone, are you able to find yourself? If the mind truly belongs to you, you can tell it to be peaceful 24/7. And if the mind is you, you should be able to understand how it works. Any ideas of yourself, they exist in the mind. But without the body, how can you even have an image of how you look like? The body and the mind comes together. But without the body, the mind cannot exist or function. You won't know what are sounds, images, knowledge. And without the mind, this body would be like a deadlock. So maybe you may think that you are a combination of the body and the mind. But this body is sustained by the world. It was stardust in the past. But yet, it is impossible to remember any of it until someone fits you that idea. So let's drop off whatever is not ultimately you or can adequately describe you. Then try dropping off the body. Just imagining detaching from that body. And dropping off the mind. But is it possible to exist outside of your body and your mind? You would be playing God if you can. And every thought, every insight, it is still the mind's function, this consciousness. So it's obvious that you can't exist outside the body and the mind. You may just end up finding yourself existing as an idea within this mind. And everything around, everything in the universe, if they look kind of separate from you, then how can this mind be yours? And if we all exist within this mental consciousness, this idea of you is just an idea, a fabrication. And perhaps everything else is so just a fabrication. Even the idea of mind. Even your own self-awareness can be fleeting and can be experienced differently. If so, what's there to grasp onto? And so, at the end of the day, who is truly meditating? Even the Buddha, you didn't know about his wisdom when you first saw his image. It's just another fabrication, another idea. Drop everything. And let there be silence. Let there be no grasping, no questioning, and ultimately, no realization and no nothingness. Just open up your awareness to this ever-changing body and mind, of how the body is connected to the rest of the world, a product of the physical reality, and how the mental consciousness is the one registering everything since beginningless time. Beings come to be, stay for a while, and they disappear. Ultimately, what is there to grasp onto? Even other beings are the same, be it gods or humans or animals. just in constant change, constant projections. Who is grasping onto who? And what is there to grasp? Expand your awareness. Without the world, without the conditioning, there will not be awareness. And without awareness, the world will never come to be. What lies beneath this awareness? What is behind the awareness? And who is searching? Who is asking? Who is realizing? And if there is a who, is this person older than the awareness? Or is it still just part of the awareness? Release, surrender, and drop, and drop, let go. Sabbe Dhamma Nalang abhinivesaya. Nothing whatsoever can be grasped onto. Not even the Buddha, and not even Nirvana, not even the awakening nature. So why suffer? Why seek? And why protect? Why not use the mind? Why not use the world? Why not use the mind and the world wisely? For things still function. And how will you bring forth this wisdom into everyday life? To contemplate, to realize, to continue. Breathing solidly in this form, bring about the image or the experience of something that you're going through right now, something of suffering, something painful. In the midst of it, continue breathing into your abdomen. And being watchful of the monkey mind if it comes up. And keep chanting Namo Sigato silently. In such a moment, what is it that you can truly trust? What is it that you need to detach from? And what is it within that you need to pacify with the right wisdom and mindfulness? And in this space, you make an ardent prayer to the Buddha, seeking wisdom and guidance on how to practice, on how to live instead of surviving. And if mantras were to appear, just breathe into the mantra. Your mind, the mind of the world, of the universe, the mind of Buddha. It is nobody's mind. It is mind itself. The mind has no inherent nature. The world, the mind, you, the Buddha, their true nature is just the way as it is, without name or form, conception, idea. It's just the way as it is. Therefore, you can drop. Drop all the way. Even letting go of practice. Truly letting go and letting go of letting go. And all actions will be spontaneous. Think of the universe and know that your loved ones and everyone, even the departed ones, are in this universe, the mind itself. And just think, loving kindness, metta, all is blessed, all is loved, all is healed. And in an instant, you spread out your merits throughout all corners of your mind, the entire universe. Gati, Gati, Paragati, Parasam Gati, Bodhi Swaha. Gati, Gati, Paragati, Parasam Gati, Bodhi Swaha. Gati, Gati, Paragati, Parasam Gati, Bodhi Swaha. Breathe into your heart. From your heart, make a wish. And from your heart, bring the awareness of that wish up to your third eye and smile it from your third eye to blast it into all directions. And may the Dharma rain falls evenly and graciously across space-time. Namo Sigato. Now bring your awareness to your eyes and notice the light seeping through your eyelids. And keep chanting Namo Sigato until your eyes open. And after your eyes open, continue being mindful of your breathing. And continue Namo Sigatoing with your eyesight. Whatever you see is just the light reflecting into your eye, creating physical objects and turning into a mental object of perception and mental formations. But as long as you breathe into your abdomen, whatever you see, you also know that you're temporarily a part of it, this consciousness. You can bless it just by smiling. If this consciousness, just Namo Sigato, or any mantras, it's a part of you anyway. Return it with a blessing that you don't have to attach. The monkey mind does not have to stir. And once this moment passes, you still yourself. A self that you can't identify. And that's the beauty of things. Yeah, I think that's great about shattering into a million pieces in itself and seeing, oh, that's who I am, But I just take note that in that shattering, it is the shattering. It is not the shattered. But the whole process, the whole shattering, is the so-called I, right? And at the same time, is the awareness of it to think that there is an I. But if the question stops of who and I is just that shattering, it is just as it is, right? So no questioner, no question, no answer, no seeker, no realization, no enlightenment. In Zen, we call that no mind. But we only say it no mind after we emerge from those states. So in that moment, it goes beyond self and non-self. That's why or whatever, it's just as is. Great. Does that make sense to you?
I think it was a great meditation. I think I haven't been sitting in my awareness in such a deep manner for some time. So today I got into it. It kind of reminded me of how I usually meditated in the past. I don't think that it's particular insights to me, as in I just see it with awareness. I think today what you taught was about emptiness or something. I mean, I kind of feel like I sort of get it, I sort of don't get it, but I just let it be and just let it sink. Yeah. And yeah, I think when you mentioned something that an image just came is like something created this consciousness, but it requires this consciousness to register it as something created it. Yeah, sort of like a picture or something. Yep, that's about it. I felt really good. Thanks.
Thanks, Zoe. Yep, the mind is what we say the mind observing the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and essentially, we also understood how the mind came to be, right? So it is that same mind observing that same mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. More like a mirror, like awareness. And since we understand that, in fact, there's no beginning if you keep searching and searching and searching. There's really no beginning. What comes before? The awareness comes first, or the mind comes first, or the universe comes first, or the consciousness comes first. You just go on, and then there's no answer. And when we drop, the questioning, then it goes boom, all of a sudden, and that is it. The original state of whatever that is. Just there's no name to it. That you don't exist outside of it. You don't. You can't say you exist outside of it. It's impossible. You can't say that you are it as well, because if you are it, you need to be solid, independent, and out of it, right? So it is. It is basically non-duality. It's non-doer. So when it comes to a point whereby these questions, it don't matter anymore because the answers don't serve. And then we ask in order to break. And we also create a kind of concentration until the shattering or the dropping of ideas comes to be. Some people are going to notice it as like imagery, but some of us just perhaps feel like kind of sensory feeling of expansion or mental experience of just Zen. So our minds will come up with what we call nimittas or signs to show us, to help us to acknowledge, to make sense, and to realize. So those signs are for us to follow or to observe. So sometimes no signs come, but that is in itself a sign that our conditioning, your conditioning is used to. So ultimately, when you go to it, it just, boom, it just falls back into that samadhi, right? Or whatever you call it, emptiness or not emptiness, it just goes back to that 0 degree. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, I think this is the third week that I keep falling asleep. So I've started, and then until search for yourself in the body and the mind plus body. I think that's when I thought I was following. I didn't really think I was sleeping, but it just the next moment, I think the next word I registered was sharing time. Yeah, I kind of lost the whole thing in between from body plus mind and then all the way until sharing time. I had the impression I was there. I think I just didn't really hear what you were saying. But I think I woke up like quite I would say I blank in the sense that like there wasn't really anything going on in my mind. It was maybe blank or clean or something like that kind of feel. So yeah, it was a good exercise.
Yeah. No way. In those states, your mind will be registering subconsciously. So sometimes we may feel that it could be like, although you're asleep, but you're not asleep, that kind of state. Whatever instructions or teachings are being given, they actually get imprinted, seeded into the subconscious. So it's in a good way. I wouldn't say that if you say that you woke up feeling blank, if you said that, oh, you woke up, you're still feeling tired, then I was like, okay, you probably just fell asleep. So yeah, so no worries. I mean, it's a good thing as well. A lot of people tend to experience this as well, especially in a group setting. Consciously you register what is needed to register, and unconsciously you still receive because you're actually operating deeper down within yourself. I think you can use that insight as well in real world situations, that we can choose what to register, monkey mind, and what not to register. Where do we settle? Or where do I stand? I stand here, not here. If that makes sense to you.
I feel like I just came out of a very deep sleep. I think the first part where you say go deeper, I had that you know, sometimes before you fall asleep, when you're just lying down, and suddenly you just feel like a jerk, and then you just like get shocked out of it. I felt that, but I didn't like, the jerk wasn't very intense, but it was still a jerk. But then I was pretty calm after that. And then you said detach from the body. That was the first instruction. And when you said that, I had this vision of form just dancing. It was very lightweight and carefree. Like that was the feeling that I remembered. But then when you said detach from the mind, I couldn't get past that form. So I was just focusing on it for a while. But yeah, it's today's session was really relaxing compared to the ones that in my own personal practice that I'm trying to do over the past week. So yeah, it's been a good session. Thank you.
Thanks. It's great as well that you actually sat longer with the detach. I think you mentioned that, you know, that is also allowing your own wisdom to come into, to align with it before we move on to the next contemplation. So that's good that you're not just following instructions. It's really wonderful. In meditation retreats, we like to say that we are afraid of people not following instructions, and we are also afraid of people following instructions. So you got a great balance, Regine. So very good.
Hi, everyone. The mind started very still, and I remember thinking, I just want to zen out and meditate, but you keep asking so many questions. And every time you ask a question, there's an answer. But honestly, if you ask me now, I cannot remember what I wanted to say. Goodness, I don't know. It's a really weird state. I mean, what was not weird? It's nice and calm, but nothing comes to mind. There's only one bit that I remember. In the middle somewhere, I started to take very deep breaths. That kind of, I would say, a high intake of oxygen. And then there was a little bit of light. And it just felt so different, like a different state. And also another part I kept saying inside, I'm ready to go, can I go now? DK, can I go now? DK, can I go now? And then I'm like, what am I saying? I don't know. It was nice because like even with everything that we're contemplating, it was still a nice, calm, zen experience. So different from what we usually do, but good. I really like the last part where you guided with the wish in the heart, and then to the third eye. I could really feel that energy going up and going out. So that was really nice. Thank you.
Promise. Yeah, so you managed to get into some kind of stillness as well towards the end. So it's great. These contemplations, these are actually very Zen ways of contemplating. They also tie in with the 16 insights of Vipassana in the Pali tradition. Now this is actually a personal method that I use, and this is actually the second time in 9 years that I guided this practice. I don't do it in big groups, so it's fortunate that we have a small group today for me to bring it out. So these contemplations, when they bring in, so it's also kind of disrupt our habitual thought patterns. Sometimes ideas of wisdom, ideas of samadhi, they could be habitual patterns as well of how we're accustomed to meditating. You know, they could contain subtle desires to reach a certain state. So this contemplation coming is to really distract or disrupt, because we're kind of asking deep questions or philosophical questions, and to turn the mind inwards to look at it. Because sometimes we may think that we're going inwards, but we're actually chasing after something. It's kind of outside of ourselves already to get into certain kind of bliss or samadhi. right? But if we turn inwards and we come in to ask, so the work, it's the same energy of working, but it's directed at the right things that we need to look at. And that's why you feel perhaps different. There's stillness, but there is still movement. But if movement does not disrupt the stillness, right? So there's the beauty of it. There's like clear crystal lake that reflects everything gracefully and peacefully. Nothing is stirred, nothing is peaceful, but it becomes more, there's more experience that happens within that. And at the end, wonder if any of you created the link. Maybe some of you did. Making the wish over here and then coming up here, shutting out. Do you remember how you received the Chintamani initiation? Of Kuan putting the pearl in here first and then coming out. So why are we doing it the reverse way? Because the Chintamani is already cultivated in each and every one of us. Sometimes we do not need the mudras. We just need the contemplation, the Zen contemplation. So we make the wish, comes out, it shoots out the third eye. What is it? The vision, right, of the world, seeing with the eye of wisdom, perceiving the world as empty means perceiving the world, the universe as interbeing. There's no separation. So that, and then the Dhamma rain falls down. It's just coming back to the physical world again. I don't think I need to go in detail. You all understood Chintamani from the experience. See, that's the beauty, right? When you all have your own practice, your own studies, and your own realization. I basically just said it in 30 seconds. Imagine you have to experience, if you want to tell someone about this, no, these 30 seconds won't work. You probably sit down over 30 coffees, and the people is like, what does that mean? It means that you are actually having a lot of progress in you that is deeply seated inside you, and I'm proud of all of you. I'm happy to hear your experiences. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And I recorded this part of the sharing today because I realized it's going to be beneficial. Except for Mimi's sharing at first because I already stopped the recording. So after I was like, oh, yeah, it's a deep session and I'm supposed to respond to everyone. So I just recorded them. So beautiful practice for all of you. The important thing is that when we talk about emptiness or non-duality, we're going beyond self and other. We're also going beyond movement and non-movement. So in stillness is where the beautiful movements can come about. And that's how we can operate in the world. There is always samadhi, there's always this stability in us, right? And we can use the mind wisely. We can interact in the world wisely. Whatever information is coming in, we will know whether they need to be processed, whether they need to be just returned to where it came from. But we're not just throwing it away, that I don't like it. Why? Because I am going to come from here and return it, to emanate it out. That's our response. That's the blessing that we can leave behind in the world. The Buddha faced a lot of problems 2,500 years ago. There's really shitload of problems within the Sangha and in society. He traveled around. But why was he able to come up with so many discourses, or what we say 84,000 teachings? Because that was where he's at. More and more wisdom, more and more skillful means come out, and he liberated more and more people. He definitely went through a lot, and one of it was seeing his entire clan getting murdered and wiped out. Noticing nuns getting raped and murdered. Having his cousin attempting to kill him. He faced a lot more suffering. I mean, not suffering. He encountered a lot of obstacles in his life. And there are definitely physical hardships. Even spiritual ones when the Brahmas try to compete with him. For those of you who are chanting the Buddha Jaya Mangala Atagata, right? The final victory where he kind of competed against Brahma. You read the footnotes. So a lot of things can happen, but why is he able to remain calm? And then when we say Buddha Nussati, it means being mindful of the Buddha. And that is the Jajaka Parita or the Itipiso chant. Or why the Chinese let it go Amitofo, 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 Amitofo. The Thais go Putto, 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 Putto. No, we're not praying to the Buddha. We're recollecting it. The virtue, the qualities, the mind of the Buddha, the practice of the Buddha, that is constant. So that is what can keep us sane, keep us whole, and can bring about blessings to the whole wide world as we move along. Wisdom, mindfulness is how we operate. I always reiterate that Samasati, which is translated as right mindfulness, it is also translated as right remembrance. So you want to remember this and be mindful of this. It can go crazy. And the world, the stimulus. So we recollect all these teachings and all these insights. We need to learn to activate this wisdom with us as we go into the real world, and how you can remain this composure. And then your life, the life of people around you will change. I'm not bullshitting you, because it's been 2,500 years. We are still sitting here practicing and talking about this way. So it's not bullshitting. Just one man. Buddha is not a god, okay? He's a man. Search history. I mean, the Scythian clan exists in Greece that moved down to, they are Indo-Aryan race, the Scythian clan that went down. And then in Sanskrit, we call them Shakya, right? So one man was able to make so much impact. And also, I'm pausing the record. I'm back. Okay, so don't underestimate the power of one person. One idiot can ruin the world. And where does that one idiot come from? Here. Just the wrong thinking. But when you have the right thinking, it can make a powerful impact into the world. Sometimes you may want to help people directly. It may not come. And if you try to resist it and push against the odds to make an impact on someone's life that they're not ready, that is the monkey mind operating again, your idea. This is my experience. When I left Singapore and came back, I tried to reach out to my friends. It was impossible. I tried to reach out to my family. It was hard. I spent years and I just got tired. I didn't change anyone's life. And I just took another way. I say, I have a new bunch of friends, I have a new bunch of community, and then I just go one circle. Along that way, some of them, they transform their own. And I realize that actually it's not up to me. But the more I'm there, the more I'm their way. But when I'm away from them, the absence I give them, it helps. And along the way, I noticed that I help some people. And these people are mutual friends. And they went to help them, bit by bit, right? Like a spiral. And sometimes they just come to me. And right now in this circle, you're part of my social circle in a way. But if I just stuck to one bunch of people because of my wishful thinking, we won't be here today. So compassion comes with understanding. And what is the most compassionate thing we can do in each and every situation? Look beyond this present moment. Scale out, have a wider vision, be a visionary. And then you will see, you'll make sense of things. You'll find more peace, a new meaning will come into your life. I assure you that it's from my own experience.